Actually, it's going blue.
Is it actually blue? No shot. Is it actually?
Yeah, it's above right now. Joe Biden's winning.
Yes.
Right now.
It's no. Joe Biden is not winning. Joe Biden has won Wisconsin. For those of you that were asleep and didn't see it, dude, if you missed it, this morning, last night, Trump came out on stage and Trump said, "Listen up. We won. If you don't think we won, we're going to take it to the Supreme Court because fuck you. Voting is over. Stop the count. We fucking win." And then he walked away, and then Pence came up, and Pence was like, "All right, he said that, okay, but what he really meant was, we're on the road to victory, and once all the votes are counted, we'll be chill, okay, guys?" Holy shit. Pence was like, I think the way it started is we were like, all of us were like at the edge of the cliff, and then Trump pushed us off. And like an anime, like Pence ran forward and grabbed us by the collar of our shirt to keep us from falling off that cliff. Trump had an Evo Morales moment. Does anybody have a link to the video or whatever?
Frankly,
oh, the Atlanta votes are still out in Georgia, aren't they?
So our goal now is to ensure the integrity for the good of this nation. This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list, okay? We will win this, and we, as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it. So I just want to thank you.
And while the votes continue to be counted, we're going to remain vigilant, as the president said.
Damn.
The right to vote has been at the center of our democracy since the founding of this nation, and we're going to protect the integrity of the vote. But I really believe with all of my heart, with the extraordinary margins, Mr. President, that you've inspired in the states that you just described, and the way that you launched this movement across the country to make America great again, I truly do believe, as you do, that we are on the road to victory and we will make America great again. Thank you, Mr. President.
Best thing for America's future is for real Donald Trump to go to total war over this election, expose all the fraud, cheating, blah, blah, blah. Wait, what? This is Donald?
Oh, that's his.
Yeah,
kid.
I know. It's his kid. Why the fuck is he tweeting this? Oh my god. What? Do you know what Banana Republic? Do you know what the origin of that is?
I think it's something to do with. God, I'm gonna say this and be wrong. I thought it was something to do with actual bananas in some case, like a.
Is it?
Economy that was based off of. You know
I thought it's related to some old dictatorship or some old country or some bullshit. Is it Panama? Oh, is it actually related to bananas? I have no idea. United Fruit Company. South American dictatorships owned by American fruit companies? What? This is JonTron shit.
You gnome fuck!
Way and have no faith in the process. Just assume that, hey, guess what? You know those ballots are going to magically show up. Just like they did, right? You saw that line on the curve up north? You know, 100% of votes. I went to sleep. I woke up 2 hours later after not sleeping for 3 days. I said, that's amazing, 130,000 votes. Not one of them for Donald Trump. No one believes that this is real. And for us to have faith in the Republic, we need transparency in the process. And so what I can promise you this is, everyone knows it, Donald Trump is a fighter. And we're going to fight each and every one of these. Georgia, it's going to be important, and I'm excited to have these guys.
So
on
we
our team, as
spent
well
2.5 years trying to impeach Trump with claims that Russia, a foreign country, meddled in the election, but nobody thinks it's possible that people on the inside could have meddled. Why are my fellow Dems always such hypocrites?
Okay, I only do this one time because I don't want to talk much, because honest to God, you guys are just really, really, really boring. Usually Republicans are boring. Nobody is claiming that Russia changed any vote totals or anything like that. That has never been the claim ever. So saying that like, oh, you said Russia changed the votes, but now Democrats couldn't do it. The idea that somebody's actually changing vote totals or rigging the elections is a monumentally different claim than people using foreign advertising to be imposters in our media and try to do other things. There's two totally different things. I don't know why you would think these claims are even remotely. Well, I know why. Because you probably don't know anything or care anything about any of these claims. You're just some fucking Republican show that's like mad as fuck that you're losing the election because your leader was too stupid to tell people to vote by mail-in. How can I say process tampered with in 2016, but in 2020 it's perfect when they think they want? You're probably too stupid for the conversation. I'm sorry. Anybody that tries to compare anything going on to Russian disinformation or Russian shit or whatever, you likely didn't follow either thing. You're probably not interested in anything I actually have to say. You're probably looking for a cheap gotcha. But the reality is that like you don't understand like anything you're talking about. So it's like I'm too lazy. Find me like in a more awake and combative mood, and I can shout at you for it.
It's like, oh, there's ballots. They're moving ballots, and we watched all of it. That's where the media parks. These are all the media trucks. This group of people, they're shouting at the reporters and the photographers, saying that those are ballots in there.
They don't have the watermarks on their ballots. They're just screwing themselves. Fraud right now. We are watching voter fraud. Hey, look, they got suitcases right here. There they are, folks. There's the ballots.
We're gonna go to the other side, and we're gonna show you what's inside of the back of those fans.
Your GoPros, your indoor lights.
Yeah, and my LU600 and my tripod.
Your tripod, yeah.
So it's camera equipment. Camera equipment. It was like, oh, there's ballots. They're moving ballots.
I don't know. I didn't see him open the box. Was there camera equipment in there? You know what would be really fucking fun? I really want to do this. We're going to do this, okay? We are definitely going to do this. If the Georgia thing goes into like runoffs or whatever, we should organize people in some districts to do like door knocking and shit. I think it would be super fucking awesome. If we could find districts that voted like a certain way, and then we could like own like one or two like regions. I don't know if this would be like whatever. Districts are the smallest level, right? Districts come down to like neighborhoods. I think it would be super fun to like organize people and do like door knocking and shit there. I think that would be so awesome. And if we could actually get like a disproportionately higher turnout in those districts than we than in other like if we could actually have like a measurable impact, I think that would be super duper duper awesome to do that.
Yeah.
I'll go if Dan goes.
Dan would definitely go.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Wouldn't it be easier to just make a concerted effort in chat to make calls or texts? That's easier, but if you can get like 15 to 20 people running a ground game in certain districts, it's actually like a respectable number of people to get up and running. And you can build momentum on local levels like really quickly that way. I just think it would be really cool. And it's possible
we can get 100 people at least.
Maybe, but getting like 15 to 20, dude, there are so many stories in this. We're going to go over this book someday, this Politics is for Power book. But there are so many stories of people that secure like a surprising amount of political power, just starting off with like 5 or 10 people at a local level, and then slowly working up like more and more and more. There's a story of these one like group of kids where there was this old guard. Fuck, I don't remember the state or the specifics. I'll refresh. I'll skim through it and go through. But there are these groups of. It's so good. I'm not even finished. Coded 39. Okay, maybe you remember the story. There are these like group of kids that were a little bit disappointed with this like old guard Democrat group or something, and they decided to start like their own little political like democratic not convention. There was names for these like little sub-party things or whatever, but they were gonna have their meetings and shit because they bought the Democratic Party has like all the guidelines and you need to do. They read through the code. All they needed was like one person to like declare the meeting, one person to be like the treasurer, and then one person to be like the county leader or some shit, or the town hall leader, whatever it was. But they did this, and they very slowly just kind of started to build it up. They got students to come in. They got like 5, 10, 15, 20 people, and eventually they started to build up to where they wanted to take like a vote to change some local way for how they did something like this. And it was so funny because the way that this movement grew was like so small and so organic and so natural that when they finally went to take a vote on like a change in leadership in this district or something, like a few of the old guard Democrats had heard about it, and they organized their own group of people to show up. And then the other kids that had like started their little political movement organized their group of people to show up. And by the end of the day, when like these people had shown up to do the vote, the hand vote, they had like 10 times as many people. It's like that old guard group because they could only get like 10 dudes to come out. And it was the college dudes that fought with the other Democrats. Yeah. And there's so many stories in this book that are like that like the amount of political power that you have, there's actually so much political power in the United States that's up for grabs if you want to do a little bit of work for it. There are so many really good stories in this book. The name of the book is Politics is for Power. There are so many really good stories about there was that one guy who was called the Boss or whatever, that really old he was like from some Eastern European immigrant. He came over with nothing, and this guy spent like 20 years. He would like help people buy their groceries. He would like help people register to vote. He'd help people, but like because of all these little connections that he'd formed in his community, he was just so respected on the political level. Like the local, like state, like legislature would send people out to like shovel this guy's driveway and shit because they wanted to be on his good side, because this guy had so much sway when it came to having the community vote in one way or another. And that was just like building connections and talking to people and everything. Like, yeah, it's like super, super, super cool. I've gotten a lot more interested in politics and grossed out by hobbyism recently. The book is very convincing. Yeah. I think that book was a big part of me getting like super ultra black pilled on like political electoralism and seeing like how easy it is and how much political power is out there. If you're just willing to do like a little bit of work, people will spend so much more effort on political hobbyism that at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a political hobbyist. I love treating politics as a hobby. It's fun for me. It's exciting. I like to cheer just as much as anybody does for a sports team. But if you want, at the end of the day, I don't have any political power to show for it. Zero. I have zero political power whatsoever. Somebody that were to spend 1/10 the effort that I do, researching, debating, Wikipedia streams, all that, like if they were to spend 1/10 that effort trying to actually secure political power, they would actually have a voice that matters in an area and at a level of government where their voice actually makes a difference. I think it's possible.
Is this your candidacy speech?
No. Fuck running for any office. But I do have the ability to organize, because I can mobilize a lot more people than the average person could just because of who I am. So it'd be cool if I could like empower like a group of politically active people to manage that infrastructure and then to just kind of like throw my weight behind it a little bit. That would be really cool to like, I think in Georgia, when these runoff elections occur, if we could pick like a few districts and like pour a bit of effort, so like social media influence, so like I could either fly there and do stuff, or we could just talk about it on stream or have people phone bank. If we could pour a little bit of effort into that and then empower people that are already on the ground, it would be really cool if we could either flip a district or like make it go way more blue than it would have otherwise compared to comparable districts in the area. I think that'd be a really, really fun project. And it would actually be like politically meaningful for once too, instead of discriminating people on the internet.
Do you think that the phone banking and going out and knocking on doors, do you think it actually changes people's minds, or
Yes.
does it just empower people to vote?
That's why.
It is
that's
so
why
fucking
Obama
important.
was so. That's why Obama was so good. Like
Mhm.
that's why his campaign in 2008 was so like incredible. Like people write books, they research that now because of
Mhm.
this ground game. How insane!
It is so
Like,
absolutely.
I feel like if you go to my
Fucking
parents' door and like ask them to like go vote for fucking like Biden or something, they would tell you just to fuck off and like close it.
No,
I guess,
people
but,
But
love
for every
it.
one
The
of
thing-
your parents, there's like 4 or 5 people who like just
Wanna
talking
hear
to
it?
someone
Mhm.
will convince them. You know.
Also, it's never like you go to somebody's door and it's like, hey, can you please vote for Biden? It's more like, hey, we just want to talk for a little bit. And then you go in and you chat. There's another story in here about a guy that like I think initially he trained people for motivational speaking or something, but he talked about like the different ways that people would go in and talk to people. That like I think like the first time they went, there was never ever a candidate pitch. You wouldn't even mention the candidate. You might give them a flyer at the end, but usually you would just go in and you talk to them and you find out, well, what are your problems? Like, well, what do you want to see solved with government? Blah blah blah, and then you chat. And then it wouldn't be until like the second deep canvassing, that might have been the name of it, yeah. And then the second time you go back, you'd be like, hey, so we talked about these problems, blah 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 blah. Like, so the candidate that we're doing for, you know, this guy wants to change this thing. Maybe it would help you. Like stuff like this. It was like is unbelievably powerful in shifting some people's minds. It's like really, really, really cool.
That's also what Jehovah's Witnesses do.
Yeah.
My mom was talking to them for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. How would you pick the district? I don't know. I think I'd probably, what we would do is I think we would poll fans to figure out where people live, because I feel like I would probably need some, because it's better if I have an intimate attachment on the ground, somebody that I can like communicate with rather than just reaching out to a total stranger, and somebody that's a little bit more familiar with like the community and everything. Like I don't want that, like if I reach out to somebody that's like a total stranger and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds good, and then they're having like a meeting and somebody's like, hey, so we were watching this Destiny guy stream that you said is helping you, and he talks about like raping people with banelings. What the fuck, dude? That probably isn't going to go over well. So it needs to be somebody that has like some level of familiarity, I think, with me. Like I had this fucking nightmare that I was standing beside some girl's bed and I thought I'd gotten her pregnant, and she said I would, but I didn't think I did. And we were in the delivery room waiting for the baby to come out. And we're all like waiting to see, like, oh God, is it my kid or whatever? And then they pull this fucking kid out with like my facial hair and glasses, and the kid's like, oh, and he only needs 15 more electoral votes, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh no, and I knew it was my kid.
What the fuck?
It was so fucking horrible. Holy shit. It was so random. Oh my God.
Jeez. Second term kicks off with firing Ray, firing Fauci. Now, I actually want to go a step farther, but I realize the president is a kind-hearted man and a good man. I'd actually like to go back to the old times of Tudor England. I'd put the heads on pikes, right? I'd put them at the two corners of the White House as a warning to federal bureaucrats. You either get with the program.
Wait, what did he just say?
To go back to the old times of Tudor England, I'd put the heads on pikes, right? I'd put them at the two corners of the White House as a warning to federal bureaucrats. You either get with the program or you're gone. Time to stop playing games. Blow it all out. Put Rick Grinnell today as the interim head of the FBI. That'll light them up, right? This is what we used to do to traitors. That's how you won the revolution. Nobody wants to talk about it. Revolution wasn't some sort of garden party, right? It was not. It was a civil war. It was a civil war. Remember also in the revolution.
Jesus. Somebody said that Trump, I thought I read a tweet earlier that said that Trump won't leave the White House. Is that true?
What do you mean, like the actual physical building right now?
That he won't leave if he loses the election. I thought I saw a tweet like that earlier.
From who?
I thought it was posted on the HQ desk or something. Or Vanity Fair.
Well, that looks good for my bet then.
It's not gonna happen.
Would it
All
be
your
insane
profits
to
are going
think
to be
that
coming to me,
Republicans
and I
could
will be
lose
collecting, by
traction
the
from
way. I know we
COVID
haven't done a lot
alone?
of settling
Like
up,
if
but
it
if I
gets
win
worse
that,
and their voter
then
base
your
were
ass.
to be the vast majority of cases.
Not that many Republicans are going to die, dude. Trump has signaled to allies that the Secret Service will have to drag him from the White House kicking and screaming. Does that count? If they drag him from the White House on the 3rd, though, on January 3rd, or is it January 3rd? Is that when the transition?
20th.
Oh, 20th. They drag him out, but they do drag him out. If they overpower him, who wins in that case? Is it you or me?
If he's still in the White House on January 20th, I
21st,
win by
right?
any means necessary.
That's the second term. Second term kicks off with firing Ray, firing Fauci. Now, I actually want to go a step further.
No, Nevada's done. Let's just move on. I like
No, it's not, dude. Nevada just came within a 11,000 vote.
I told you guys, Nevada's gonna flip, dude.
It's 587 to 578 right now in Nevada.
Where do you see that? Mine's different.
Hold on. You guys need to trust the prophets.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, Nevada is within like 9,000. Yeah.
What? Okay, bro.
Yeah.
HBC, please get this for us. Please.
Oh
make
wait,
this
but
happen.
Clark is leading with Biden by like 7 points.
Yeah,
Waiting for him
Clark
to
has
come
a
in.
bid, but
Yeah.
All this gambling, imagine it actually came down to just Nevada.
No,
Nah,
not it's fucking Michigan, or maybe fucking Georgia, or maybe fucking Pennsylvania.
You know what sucks though?
It's not just that you're a crook, Senator. It's that you're attacking the health of the people that you represent.
He would be nothing but a rubber stamp for Chuck Schumer. And the reason I'm talking about the same words is that he doesn't...
Well, okay, hold on. I might be totally wrong. Fuck, I was going to say before he said Chuck Schumer. We don't 100% know. What? This guy looks like the Democrat and this guy looks like the Republican. Why? Is that true? Do you think they are? Or do I have it mixed up?
Which one, the left and the right?
Left guy looks like a Republican. Right guy
Yeah,
looks like
you're
a
right,
Democrat.
yes.
Why?
One's young, one's fucking old.
Is that the only... There are young Republicans, though. There's something more than that. This guy just looks like a Republican. I don't know why.
I could also see the one on the
time,
right being like a new Republican as well.
Maybe, yeah. That's
all the time, and that is he's saying things that will disclose or that will disguise his real radical socialist agenda.
Perhaps Senator Perdue would have been able to respond properly to the COVID-19 pandemic if you hadn't been fending off multiple federal investigations for insider trading. In the middle of a pandemic that is worsening, a pandemic that Senator Perdue told us would be no deadlier than the ordinary flu. In the middle of this historic public health crisis, Senator Perdue is still supporting a lawsuit to repeal the Affordable Care Act.
We've got to hold accountable the people that helped create this pandemic, and that's the country of China. Communist China today is one of our biggest threats. This man worked for him for 2 years, and we've heard it already. He is now not acknowledging that he worked for that company. In the last debate, he said absolutely not. But I'm here to tell you that there is a document, and I have it right here. This is his July filing where he disclosed to the federal government that he, in fact, did work for them. Now, there's a responsibility here he needs to own up to, because sooner or later, we need somebody in the United States Senate that will stand up to Communist China.
This is so beneath the office of a U.S. Senator. You've continued to demean yourself throughout this campaign with your conduct. First, you were lengthening my nose in attack ads. to remind everybody that I'm Jewish. Then when that didn't work, you started calling me some kind of Islamic terrorist. And then when that didn't work, you started calling me a Chinese communist. It's ridiculous. And you shouldn't do everything that your handlers in Washington tell you to, because you'll lose your soul along the way, Senator.
Okay, this wasn't really like an epic showdown. It was just him calling him out. But wait, what the fuck? What is happening in the United States? Can we please stop? Wait, we had 125,000 cases yesterday?
Dude, I'm never going to be able to travel again.
What
That's
is
it.
Yeah, I think Sargon was right. We're going for herd immunity, baby. Fuck it, I guess. Holy shit.
This is why we have to get round one. I think I'm going to become a first responder.
Jesus,
That's
yeah.
what it takes.
We're winning a race that no one else is even racing us in. Holy fuck. Dan, what in the fuck? Look at California, baby. Hell yeah. I don't know how the fuck... does this even count
Hey,
as...
Florida's not bad either. That's surprising. Look at that, Mr. Moon.
Yeah,
We're
that's
good.
true too. How is... Are we even... Does this count as a second wave, or...
Damn, North Carolina is getting fucked. Holy shit.
Dude, apparently people are stockpiling like supplies again. They're like freaking out.
I don't think we'll ever get to that
There's
point.
video of people buying like 80 cases of toilet paper and shit again. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think we're ever going to get to, like, obviously we can handle it during the worst of times, because I think the beginning was going to be the most panic time, but, like, fuck. I guess
Wait,
there's
do
going to
you
be a lot
notice
more
these
people
are
to die.
all...
What?
Are these all Republican states that are going seriously red for the most part?
No, you can look at the... You can look at the... Sorry. The right side will show you if it's Republican or Democrat.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Never mind.
Biden
They win long game.
Cool. Biden condemned Cuba and Venezuela all the time, and he had the
Tune
worst
in
democratic
while you're
performance among Hispanics in decades. Pandering doesn't work. My understanding is tuning in while you're AFK is like showing up to an empty exhibit at the zoo. Thanks for everything, everybody. Nice. My understanding is that the Hispanic performance was about in line. I should say my understanding. That's what Doug said. We should look it up. Hispanic performance historically, presidential election. But if you ignore Obama, that it was about in line with what it was prior to that. But let's check. That's what Doug said. Maybe that's not true. The Hispanic vote in presidential elections. A Democratic candidate. So 2008, 2012 for the Republican candidate. So 35% to Reagan, 37% to Reagan, 30% to George H.W. Bush, 25%, 61% Clinton. Damn. 35% Bush, 40% Bush. Damn, Bush got 40% of the Hispanic vote the second way through. Yeah, so this is just not true, right? Where how much what is the Hispanic vote for Biden this time around? I think the way Hispanics should be analyzed must change dramatically.
Did you see Steven Crowder claiming and posting a video of so-called ballots being snuck into a location in a cooler only for a news station to show proof it was just one of their people bringing in camera equipment in a Pelican case?
Nice. As a Mexican, I think my worldview is very different from Cubans, even though we have the same cultural tie. Yes. The Hispanic group in the United States is pretty strange. Here's a question, actually.
The Cubans voted for Trump cause they are the kings of burning bridges once they get across them all, so FB algorithm.
We need to bring back the term African American. It's very irritating that nobody really knows what nobody knows what African American means. So we stopped saying African American because I guess some people think that it has to do with Africa. So in the United States, the reason why we use the term African American is because if you have like an Irish day, St. Patty's Day, or if you've got like days where you celebrate your Italian heritage, your Irish heritage, your German background, your Spanish background, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let me explain this so some people can understand. Okay. The reason why we're able to do that as white people is because we know where our family came from. We have, we've got our, our little Ellis Island books. We've got our family genealogy, our trees. Oh my God, my great grandpa was fucking Franz Ferdinand's fucking uncles, blah, blah, like, well, white people know all this shit. If you are the descendant of a slave in the United States, you do not know that. You have no fucking idea where you came from. All you know, vaguely, is that you probably came from Africa. You have a unique background in the United States. And the way that we refer to this background is African American. That's all you have. So you don't know, where in Africa your family came from. Oftentimes you just don't get to know that, right? So black people in the United States that are the descendants of slaves have a unique experience called African American. But I think we stopped saying that because people heard Africa and assumed that that is like bad or offensive. And now it is politically incorrect. I think it's politically incorrect to call someone an African American. I think that the colloquial, politically correct term to use now is just black. But the problem is blacks are not a ubiquitous group. Really? I don't hear people say African American anymore. I think even in mainstream media now, I think you hear the term blacks more commonly than you hear African American. I feel like I see that way more. I could be wrong, but when I'm reading like mainstream, somebody can link me some articles. I feel like I see and I hear people for the blacks in America, the black American experience, blacks. We need to do this for blacks and blacks or black people, but never African American anymore. I don't hear African American anymore. But the reality is that black Americans are not even remotely the same group of people. Somebody that comes over from Nigeria, for instance, Nigerians, I think, are some of the highest postgraduate degree holders of any ethnic group in the entire United States. A Nigerian American is not going to have the same experience in the U.S. as an African American, as a descendant of a slave. And the idea that we've just thrown every black person into the same group and called them blacks or black people, I don't think that... I think you miss a lot there. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because we're talking about Hispanic now. I think that different groups of Hispanic people probably feel very, very differently from one another as well. That first or second or third generation immigrants from like Cuba especially, right, are going to feel a lot differently than people that came over from Mexico or from people that came over as refugee or asylum seekers from Central or Southern America. I think that these people are probably, my guess is they're probably going to vote differently. They probably have different sets of beliefs and everything as well. Latinx is the worst fucking term ever. Don't ever use that godforsaken fucking white man's word here, okay? We never say Latinx on this stream, okay? Your racial slurs rank above Latinx. What a cringe fucking term. Holy shit. Latinos, okay, or Hispanic people, broadly speaking, I don't think can be broadly spoken about. I think there's going to be very, very, very different groups of people within Hispanic communities. For a long time, and I know this because we would read about like crime stats and stuff a lot, like sometimes Hispanic or Latino people are considered white for like purposes of crime stats. It's very, 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 very weird where these groups fit in. But I think we need to be a little bit more precise when we describe certain groups of people. Can you explain Latinx? I don't know. White people make up new words sometimes so they feel like they're not hurting people's feelings. So Latinx we made up because Latino is gendered, because the Spanish language works on like a gendered system. You've got masculine and feminine, and we don't like that, so we call them Latinx or whatever. Aren't you Cuban? Yes. So my half of my family is Cuban, and all of my Cuban family that I'm aware of fucking hates Democrats. They hate Democrats. And my understanding is that Cubans historically, oh my God, Cubans historically vote Republican as well. White people are not homogenous either. No, they're not generally. But we never refer to white people in the United States. Well, no, we do sometimes. I think generally, it probably depends, but I don't think generally we refer to This is like a different thing. Like usually when we're talking about how white people vote, I feel like it's usually broken down more on like, for instance, like how do evangelicals vote? How do like college educated versus non-college educated vote? Although I guess we have used the term like how do white people vote generally speaking in the election, but you don't really get like a good picture there. Like how do white people vote? Well, I don't know. You're gonna have to break that down a lot more. But now I'm saying that that's the same also for like Black Americans or brown Americans as well. So argument makes sense, but why is African American better than black? Well, African American is just a bit more precise than just saying black. The difference is white people are generally from the same country. Latinos can generally be from multiple different well, no, white people aren't from the same country. Well, I mean, if you say America, then maybe, but... Yeah, but Destiny, 90 to 95% of blacks vote for Dems, so doesn't it fit? My guess is that African Americans probably vote quite a bit differently than, like, immigrants from different African countries here. That's what I'm saying. Latinos is also a misnomer. We are not Latins. Hispanic is the most accurate. Also, South America is way more white than North America. Sure. I don't know where we stand on the Hispanic or Latino thing because I've heard so many different arguments for who is considered what for any of that. So I don't know. Yeah. So now people in chat are mad. I don't take a side on any of that. I have no idea what. This is literally related to the Latinx thing. Please click Destiny. I see I'm a Latinx. There are very few people on the internet that I care less about than the girl that looks like a child for men to obsess over. For African people, if they're educated, then they probably vote similarly to African Americans, but I imagine for different reasons. Yeah, probably, yeah. I would imagine so. Isn't Hispanic people with Spanish origins and Latinos don't have Spanish origins? I don't know. I have no idea. The thing is that like even within those groups, it's like different, right? Like you've got like mestizo versus castizo in like Spanish people for like the whiter people versus the darker skinned people. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't really care to know because even if I came out with the correct answer, like even if I knew for a fact like this is what Hispanic is, this is what Latino is, I don't think that like anybody would have. I'd be correcting people constantly anyway, and no one would care. So fuck, I don't care. Fuck all of that. It's a waste of time. The term Latino is a distortion of cultural realities or systemic differences between Spanish-speaking Norteños in Texas and Cuban community in Florida and the urban Mexican-American communities of California. Yeah, this is probably true. All of these groups can be broken down further as well. I don't mean to say, for instance, that African Americans are one specific group of people that all vote a certain way, although they probably tend to, right? I'm just saying that it feels really fucky to group all black people together and call them black people when African Americans have a very, very unique history in the United States. It's not the same as just calling white people whites because white people all know their ancestry. Like there's not really as much a reason to have like that group of white Americans versus like African Americans that have a distinct like place in the United States.
You know what? Whenever I was younger, my other people's taxes went to funding my mom's healthcare and funding my mom's food stamps. And now my taxes go towards funding somebody else's mom's healthcare and somebody else's mom's food stamps, because that's the way things go. If you don't like that, that's fine. I can understand the individualism, but I just think that it's wrong.
Wait, does Asmongold always talk like this? What? Why does he close his eyes so much?
Whenever I was younger, my other people's taxes went to funding my mom's healthcare and funding my mom's food stamps. And now my taxes go towards funding somebody else's mom's healthcare and somebody else's mom's food stamps, because that's the way things go. If you don't like that, that's fine. I can understand the individualism, but I just
down to 8,000 votes in Georgia.
Dan, that tweet was 10 minutes ago.
Okay, that's true. 12 minutes ago.
What categories are in play when we talk about black people, African Americans, and Hispanics? Is it race, ethnicity? Race and ethnic. First of all, I don't know the difference. Dude, so many of these terms are so what do you call like transparent? There's a word I'm looking for. Fluid. What is the difference between race and ethnic? I hear these things all used interchangeably so much, and even I'll slip up and use it interchangeably as well. Where I'll be talking like, oh, like are you this, are you that? Like, oh, like this person's race, this guy's Mexican or whatever. It's like, well, Mexican is actually a nationality, but it kind of implies like that you're Hispanic, right? It implies a bit more. These terms are very liquid, okay? Very transient, very fluid, okay? I don't know. I would never be a stickler for using like one or the other. Like, be race, this is race, this is ethnicity, this is blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. My favorite conversation with a white American is being asked where I'm from, and I just respond with the American city I was born and raised in, and I can see in their face that they really want to find out. Wait, are you a girl? This is the most common complaint that I hear from my Asian American friends that are girls is that anytime they're going out with a white guy, that's like the number one thing is like, so where are you from? Oh my God, you're from China? Oh my God, I read a little bit about Mandarin and, oh, you're a guy? Oh, crazy. I guess I don't have as many Asian friends I talk to, but I hear that complaint of like finding out like where are they from so that they can like talk to them all about their culture. And like oftentimes these guys will like know a million times more than like the Asian American girls who's like, I don't know fuck all about fucking Japan or Tokyo or Kyoto. I don't know anything because I live in LA. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about right now. I speak English, motherfucker. Listen to me, yeah.
Biden's down by 8,000 in Michigan.
And Brown
Wait,
County
in Michigan?
In Michigan. In Michigan.
Wait, are you sure?
No, I miscounted. I miscounted my delusion. Sorry, guys.
Oh.
I miscounted. My bad. I didn't see it too.
208,000.
No, Wisconsin's 8
5
though.
minutes ago, you're fired from it, okay?
Guys.
Other counties.
Michigan's all Trump.
I'm looking at the Michigan votes with the percentage and the numbers. Okay, there's
What
no
did you turn into fucking Zerka? What happened?
no way
I
that
took a
Joe
break.
wins Michigan.
No,
Yeah,
look at Wayne.
Yeah, there's no way. He's right.
Michigan,
No, he's
then
right.
there's
He's
no way-
not trolling. He's right.
Then that means there's no way I lose this bet.
It's called the U.S. flag, you stupid fuck. This is the only flag that the United States federally has and recognizes. Why the fuck are you acting like a different